to the cloud so that we have that being done. I'm going to mute everybody. And then I'm going to unmute. Why is that happening? There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Are you there, Chris?
I am. Can you hear me good?
I can hear you perfect. Absolutely
Okay.
perfect.
I
Everybody else
do not
hopefully
hear
can
you very well, Carmen.
You can't hear me very well?
No.
Okay.
Let's see if I can turn you up a little bit. I'm as good as I'm going to get.
Okay, not a problem. We'll do it as best as we possibly can. Thank you, everyone, for making it on the call this morning. These calls are to be informative, educational, motivational, and inspirational all at the same time. So it's real important we all pull together at times like this and look out for each other, motivate each other, and prepare for what we're going to do next once this is over, because we're going to come back with a bang and we're going to do it really, really rocking. So one of the ideas that I had was maybe we should interview some people, add some people that everybody wants to know maybe a little bit more about. And that way, we could all become a little bit more familiar and know who we're taking advice from and who we're taking directions from and knowing where to go and ask the right questions. So what we're going to do this morning is we're going to have an interview with Mr. Chris Roberts, the president of GHS. One of the, probably one of the true, real great guys that I've met in a long time in direct sales. Not to say there's not some other ones out there. Chris, can you hear me?
Not at all. I'm going to try getting some earbuds in real quick and see if I can hear you better.
Not a problem. This almost sounds like yesterday when the internet kept on cutting in and out. So we'll see how that works out, and hopefully that will. I
can hear you. I can hear you in my earbuds.
And perfectly. Okay, we all good now, Chris?
I am.
Perfect. So I'd like to introduce President of GHS, Mr. Chris Roberts, who we're going to interview this morning. I've asked people to send in questions from all over the team for Team International Lifesavers for some questions that they wanted to know about Mr. Roberts. So this is 60 Minutes 2020 with Chris Roberts. So we're not going to be too tough on you this morning, Chris. We're going to start off with, what year did you start with GHS OmniShield MasterGuard? I'm not sure what it was called back then.
Right. 1989, when I was 19 years old, I started part-time with the company, selling pretty much one-on-ones and in-home parties. And Darren Kendrick recruited me, who's a regional director today.
And that was where?
That was in Lufkin, Texas. Lufkin, Texas.
Oh, so you've come full circle. You started in Texas and you come back to Texas.
That's right.
Awesome. Okay, second question is, how long before you became a dealer?
So I had a strange record. I was 8 years before becoming a dealer. I was a safety advisor part-time. Then I was a full-time safety advisor. Then I ran an office for the largest office in the history of our company. At the time, we were doing over 20,000 units a year. And units back then, Carmen, were only heat detectors and smoke alarms and fire extinguishers. So that was all we had. And we were doing over 20,000 of those a year out of that office.
Wow.
We built a region with 20 dealers around the country. We did a lot of innovation out of that office over those 8 years, and a lot of organic promotions happened. I became kind of the right-hand man for that dealership, and worked with that dealer. So I ended up being there for 8 years because I had a different structure than most people. I had a base salary plus a commission plus an override plus a lot of responsibility, and worked a lot of hours and traveled a lot of miles.
Fantastic. Well, obviously
so it was different.
Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, that's the only thing about the internet now. Okay, when you became a dealer, what would you think was one of your biggest strengths as a dealer?
Um, Probably the biggest strength I had was presentations. I was good at presenting to groups of people, and I had a very high closing ratio for the people that I presented for. And when I was a dealer, our marketing plan was a little different than it is today. I would do group seminars when I was a dealer. I was a dealer for about 2 years, and I would do the group seminars. And then once I got through with those, I would give the safety advisors that worked for me the leads to go into the homes. I would do that too, but I had a lot of people that would do that for me.
Fantastic. Fantastic. This is going to be a little bit of a trick question. This is also going to test your memory. So, do you remember your first demo and what was it like?
Never forget it. Never forget it. It was the Harkness family, Harkness, and they lived on Reen Drive, Reen Drive in Lufkin, Texas. And I was supposed to be training with a guy by the name of Roger Looney. And Roger was supposed to train me, but he left a note on my car. I came out of college, and I came out of my college class in the afternoon, and I went to my car, and there was an index card on my windshield wiper with the demo that needed to be done, and a note on the back that said, "My daughter is sick, and I can't go tonight. You have to run this by yourself." So I had no training. I had no nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, well, by God, I'm going to go run this demo. And I went to that demo, and it was literally a 4-room house with a hallway in the middle. So it had a kitchen, a living room, 2 bedrooms on a square. And then in the middle was a hallway and an attic. So I didn't know anything other than we got to put one in every one of these rooms, in the hallway and in the attic. So we need 6 alarms. And I don't have them. So we'll have to come back tomorrow and install them, but this is what you need. And I went through the process of selling them and walking through their home, and they bought. And I came, and back then we got I knew this much. I knew that I would get a $5 per alarm bonus if I brought in a check, cash, or credit card. And I would get $5 less if it was a credit app finance. So I told them, I said, would you do me a favor? And they said, what? I said, do you have any of those credit card checks like Discover Card makes? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, instead of giving me your credit card, would you write me a check on that? Because I get a little bonus for that. And when I came in, that dealer I worked for thought, no, that's pretty slick. And to him, it was like a check, and he didn't have to pay that discount fee. And so literally my first demo became an innovative thing that everybody in the office started doing, and we ran a ton of credit card checks.
That's brilliant.
So I'll never forget that.
That's fantastic. That's really, really good. Okay, on a little bit more of a personal level, what is your favorite sport to watch?
College football. College football. I like it because as of today, those athletes are working hard for the future. They're not prima donnas. They're not overpaid, and all that stuff. And so I like that much about college football.
Fantastic. Okay. How long have you and Becky been married?
28 years. Whew. And that'll be May 16th this year.
Fantastic.
28. Yeah.
28 years. Okay. How has having her support you helped you in achieving your success and goals with GHS? Well,
Carmen, it's real simple. I would not be who I am or where I am today if it wasn't for her. We knew each other since we were in the 3rd grade, but we never dated each other till we were in our 20s. We were 23, and we went out on a date, and 2 weeks later, I bought her the ring she wears today. And we got engaged 2 weeks after our first date. So even though we went to high school together and we knew each other and we dated other people, we never had that spark between each other. We were just friends. And once we got that spark, it was pretty simple. We knew that this was for real. And I, when people ask me that kind of a question, I just say, if you know her, then you know why I got lucky. I hit the lottery, because she's the most positive person that I've ever met. Literally, like when she wakes up in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, she starts throwing open the windows and the curtains and singing, and little birds come in from the outside, ribbons in her hair like a Disney princess. And I go, rah, roll over, put my head on the pillow. But she just drives me to be positive. And real quick story about her. When I was a safety advisor, going back to the 8 years, we would go to meetings and we would leave, and my wife would say, you should be a dealer. You should own your own office. You practically run this huge office. You should run your own. And I'd say, yeah, whatever. I was satisfied being where I was at. And one day we got into an argument on the way back from a regional meeting in the car. And she said, you should do this yourself. And I said, you know what? You're always saying that I should do this myself. Why don't you do something about it? And the next day I came home and there was a Century 21 sign in our front yard. She had listed the home for sale. And she said, you need to figure out where we're moving to, buddy, because you're going to be a dealer. So she really did push me to be a dealer. And many times I would lay on the couch licking my wounds and watching Oprah Winfrey in the afternoon. And she would say, you need to go get some leads, buddy. And she would put me in the car with the kids and take us out and make me knock doors to get leads. And she'd say, don't get back in this car till you get leads. So she really did drive me a lot.
That's awesome. That is really, really awesome. I had heard that before, but I know most of the people on this call haven't heard that before. And I think it's a great testament to Becky and your relationship. How did you become such a great speaker? Was it watching your dad, or is it from personal training?
Well, I guess I'll say thank you for the compliment. If somebody thinks I'm a great speaker, I think it's both. I was raised in a church with 2,000 members, so I was always on stage, whether I was on stage or not, because in a small town, I would go to the grocery store and people would say, hey, Chris, how are you doing? And I'd say, hey, how you doing? And I knew people were watching me all the time. So that probably played a part in being able to get up on stage and talk. But it's something you have to hone and you have to practice and you have to train and prepare to be a speaker. And so every speech I've ever given, I've prepared for. Every speech I've ever been asked to do, I've prayed about. Every speech I've asked to do the right thing that would help someone. And part of it is learning certain aspects. Like, I speak differently today than I did 10 years ago. I actually speak differently than I did 5 years ago, because I've learned to speak in a slow cadence where I am understood by everyone in the room. And I do that right now. I'm speaking slower than I used to speak. And it's probably because I've listened to Zig Ziglar and Anthony Robbins and a lot of professional speakers over the years, and John Maxwell and people like that. They speak slow in a cadence so that everyone can understand them. And I have a tendency to get really excited and really fired up and blast the microphone. And if I don't do what I'm doing right now, then some people can't understand me and they don't get the message. So I'd say you might be born with some of it, but you gotta learn it.
Excellent. I can certainly relate to that. Okay. Next one, another personal question. What is your real name and why do you go by Chris?
Well, my name is Donald Christopher Roberts. And the reason I'm called Donald Christopher Roberts is my father had a mentor named Donnie Christopher Young. And that old man, when he was a young boy, played a big part in his life. And when my parents knew that they were pregnant with me, they decided to name me after Donnie Christopher Young. But my mother said, I don't like the name Donald or Don or Donnie, so we're going to call him Chris. And so I got a middle name, Chris, and I never will forget my first grade teacher said, "You do know that he's Donald for the rest of his life." On his credit cards, in the military, at college, roll call, at the airlines, TSA, Social Security, you name it, I'll be Donald. And my mother said, "No, he is Chris." And they had a little argument. And so I always tell my mom now, you know, Miss Merriweather was right. I am Donald.
Absolutely awesome. Okay, one of my mentors always said that people long for the good old days, not realizing the good old days haven't even come here yet. And so far up until now, what is your greatest memory of your career so far?
Man, I've got so many memories. It's hard to just give you one or even two. Depending on what you're looking at, you know, being recognized for certain things were really big memories. But I would say that probably the two things, the number one would be Enid Mathern in Baker, Louisiana, calling me and saying, "Thank you for selling me these fire alarms because they saved my daughter and my life last night." And so a lifesaver phone call was probably the greatest memory of my career. And then second, I wouldn't say it's a great memory, but it's a very indelible memory. And that is when I sat in the room and interviewed Amanda Deputy for a horrific story. I recall literally having so much tears and mucus coming out of my nose that my beard was soaked because I couldn't make any noise because they were videoing, but I was listening to the most heart-wrenching story of a mother who lost her children to what
Okay. We've lost Chris for a moment. There we are.
I got a phone call. Sorry.
Okay.
I got a phone call. I had to stop it. So literally, that was a horrific memory, but it was an indelible memory.
Thank you for that. What are some of your favorite books to read? Maybe if you can think of the top 2 or 3 favorite books.
Yeah, that goes back to the deal. I'll give you 5. How's that?
Okay,
the first one is the Bible. And I was actually reading the Bible when I was waiting on this call because it's kind of cool what you can take the Bible and that's actually cheating, Carmen, because there's 66 books in the Bible. So if you say, what's your favorite book, that's 66 of them. But a lot of times I'll just say, man, I don't know where to start or where to read. And I'll just open the book and I'll put my finger on it like that. I don't know where I learned that from, but and today I did that and it was weird. It was uncanny because it was about Moab, the city that was being destroyed by its vileness and things like that. And I was thinking, ooh, that's eerie with what's going on, you know? And so then I said, I got to go get some positive stuff. And I went over to Proverbs and Song of Solomon's and started reading about, you know, some cool stuff. And so I do like the Bible. You know, my dad told me one time, it's not in the Bible. It's not true because it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible because it's true. And this is thousands of years of truisms, if you will. People that have learned in the history of mankind is in that book. Another book that changed my life would be Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It changed the way I thought because I came from a poor mentality. My father was a pastor who was a real pastor who really did not chase the dollar. He really was a pastor, not like some today who are very rich and mega church, kind of people. My dad gave up money to serve God. And so I had a poor mentality, you know, and that Napoleon Hill's book changed my mentality and realized that I could think and grow rich. The next book is a book that I made my children read, and I suggest a lot of people read, and that is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. These are old books, but they are still to this day true, just like the Bible and other books like that. And then I got 2 books that I love that I always recommend to people. One is a short book, thin book called The Go-Getter, and it's by Peter B as in Becky, Kyne, Kyne, Peter B. Kyne. And then the second book that I love is called The Traveler's Gift, and it's by Andy Andrews. And so that's 5 books right there for you,
That's
to
awesome.
read during your isolation.
And thank God for Amazon still delivering right now. No question about that.
Exactly.
Okay, when you became a dealer, what was your biggest fear and how did you overcome it?
So going back to the 8 years before I became a dealer, my fear was that I worked in such a huge office. I mean, we had a 3,500 square foot office building. I mean, we had our own parking lot that we had paved. We were a standalone building. We weren't in a strip center. We were a building. We had a training center. We had multiple offices and a boiler room for marketing. We had inventory room, and we even had a repo room because we financed our own alarms and we would bring them back in to that repo room. We had multiple rooms and offices. We ran our own finance, and I ran over $2 million in financing on the books. So you can imagine the office and the structure that we were under. I brought a lot of that to the home office when I came in 2000, because that's why Ray brought me there, was because he saw what we did in that small dealership that became huge, and he said, "Hey, come to the home office and help us, do that here." And but because of all that, I was afraid to go out on my own because I was thinking I had to do all that on my own, and I had done it with a team. And that was very daunting to me. But what I realized when I went out was I learned a lesson about direct sales. And that is, direct sales is beautiful because it's a business that can literally start at your kitchen table, and it can pull you to your living room, and it can pull you to where your wife says, "Hey, these guys are eating all the food in the refrigerator. You got to get an office." And you can go rent a room, and then you can go rent an office, and then you can go build an office, and then you can buy your own building. But it's a business that can grow like that. You don't have to walk out the door from one office and go, "I'm going to go open another office and have the exact same thing you had when you were doing 20,000 units." And it was a great 2 years of me being a dealer. I guess fortunately or unfortunately, I was there for 2 years, and then Ray brought me to Dallas. And I took that step to come to Dallas and build something bigger than I thought I could on my own. And obviously we have built something bigger than I would have built on my own. But being a dealer was fearful for me because I thought that I had to do more than I really had to do to be successful.
Fantastic. Now, at this point, we're hopefully expecting the convention to go ahead. What are some of the highlights that those on this call who attend the convention in Dallas in June, at the end of June, can look forward to?
Yes. Like you said, we're watchfully optimistic to have the convention June 25th through the 28th. I keep saying the 23rd because it'll start that early for me. It'll start way earlier than that. It already has. We have it planned. The first night, we're going to have a casino night for cause for the fallen heroes. The second night, we're going to have Le Freak, and Le Freak is phenomenal. I mean, I know most of the people, actually all of you on this call have never seen them, but we had them a few years ago, and they really are like a level 1 band, and the singer's awesome, and they will play everything from Don't Stop Believing all the way to Kool and the Gang, and and it'll be fun, and it'll be disco, and it'll be 80s rock all mixed together, and they are a blast. We will have a great time that night. And then on Saturday night, we're going to have the gala, the awards gala, the Omnis. We call the awards now Omnis, kind of like the Emmys or the Grammys. We call them the Omnis. So we're going to give away the glass, flame water drop trophies, and we're going to have the playoff belts, and we're going to have all the different hit it to get it's that we've done through the years. Through the year, we'll have all that recognition during the meeting. But sandwiched in between all that fun, we're going to have some awesome training. And this year, we're not going to separate. We're going to stay together all the way through, and we're going to teach one message all the way through. And I think that that's going to be really powerful. We'll be able to stay in the room. And I'm sorry, I got some sirens going on here if you can hear them. somebody's got a fire or something.
That's unbelievable. That's great.
I need to go hand out some business cards.
There you go. Absolutely. So how are you keeping busy at this and preparing at this crazy time?
That's a good question. First of all, until last night, I've been busy trying to prepare for what I knew was going to happen, and that was we got shut down. So last night at 8 o'clock, I walked out of the home office. I've been by myself for like 2 hours. Carmen and I actually went over to my bar and poured a little shot of whiskey in one of my glasses and took a shot of whiskey and turned off my light. And I went and set the alarm, and I walked to the front door, and I looked back at the office, and I said, we'll be back. We'll be back. We're not going to be gone long. And I said that out loud, but I kind of felt like the captain, leaving the ship. It was weird because I knew today I wasn't going to be able to come in because our county has ordered a shelter in place, which means all of us have to stay home. But what's funny is I've been watching while I'm talking to you, my little texts are popping up because the home office staff has a text thread going like the International Lifesavers does all the time. And we have that text thread going now, and they're talking about, I can't get my printer to work and I can't do that. Bye. And it's just been blowing up. And I'm sitting there going, they're still working and we're all still working, and we're going to work around it and through it and over it and under it. And if we don't have to do anything else, we're just going to, continue to work. But with that said, there's going to be some free time that we don't normally have. And I think that this is a great time. One of the things I thought about a while ago about the Bible, one of the really cool things that I don't know where it's at in here, but I know it's in here. Be still and know that I'm God. That's a famous verse from the Bible. And I think sometimes we just have to be still and we have to know that everything's going to be okay. And first of all, I would say that everybody needs to know it's going to be okay. Second of all, I think we need to take this time, like I said on my video that I put out yesterday, and spend some time with our family and love on our loved ones and stay connected to the people that are important to us. And then I think you should take this time to plan. And here's what I mean. We planned in November and December, and plans change, but decisions don't. And we planned to do a lot this year. Well, our plans are going to have to change now to do a lot this year. So I think we need to refocus, knowing what we're faced with now, and come up with new plans. Be creative. Be part of the solution, not the problem. And as we do that through this time, I believe that we'll come out stronger and better because we will learn from what's going on, how to do things differently. We'll still know what we did before if things go back to the way they were, but if things don't go back exactly like they were before, we will know how to do it better. And we have the ability to adapt in this business more than any other business. We have the ability to adapt and innovate as human beings. I'm very excited when I see all the governments tapping into the private sector for solutions to these problems, because I'm going executive staff to continue out from you what ideas we have, because we have a library, if you would, of knowledge and a wealth of experience that will help us innovate and be better through this time.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. 2 more questions. What's the first restaurant you're going to take Becky to when this is all over?
Wherever she wants to go. It'll be Tex-Mex, I can tell you that.
That's awesome. Okay, and one final question is, as the president of GHS, what message would you like to share with the International Lifesavers?
Well, the first thing I would like to say is that we appreciate you more than you can ever imagine. Almost every time I get together with the board of directors, which is Ray Jones, Brent Jones, and then people you don't know, which is Tanya Egger, his daughter, his wife, Mrs. Jones, Mark Jones, Brent's brother, and Kim Havens. When I get together in that board we talk about where the growth is happening, and we talk about where the future is at. And every time it's about you guys, the International Lifesavers, because that's where the growth is happening, and that's where the future is at. So we appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And if we didn't have you, that's what we talk about a lot of times. What if we didn't have those guys and those gals? What would happen if we didn't have those people? And, you know, Carmen, I can't take credit for a lot of things in life, but I always take credit if I get the chance, as I say, well, you know, I pulled over at Chick-fil-A in the parking lot and talked to Carmen for 45 minutes one day to make sure I didn't lose him on the cell phone. And I begged him to come to Dallas and just kick the tires on this thing. And I'm so glad he did. See, I kind of take credit for you being here.
Well, I appreciate it as well. Well, that's awesome, Chris. And I want to thank you for your time today. I know it's very valuable, and there's a lot of craziness going on in the world. But we're going to do these calls every day at 11 o'clock. We're going to have different interviews and different ideas and different information. We're going to start doing some training videos that we're going to have available on these calls. It's just to keep us all sharp, keep us all positive, share good ideas, and make things happen. Now, today's contest is for a $25 Amazon card. It's the easiest way to get into your hands real quick. There's 3 answers to it. Now, it's the first person who puts it on the International Lifesavers Messenger, not the Facebook page itself, but the Messenger, the one that we report all of our protections on. The first person with the right answer. There's 3 parts to this. The first part is David Carter's 3 levels to learning. What are they? And no cheating, nobody calling David Carter and asking for the answers. So what are the 3 parts to David Carter's, the 3 levels of learning for David Carter? Number 2, what year did Chris Roberts start? Don't text Chris and ask them. That's something you got to remember. And number 3, name 2 of the 5 books that Chris Roberts mentioned today. Thank you, everybody, for awesome days. Thank you very much. Let's keep rocking and rolling. We'll talk to everybody real soon. Chris, thank you so much for your time today. Much appreciated. Stay safe and have an awesome day.
Thank you. And thank all of you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.